Hello everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video we'll be going through a triple whammy of a unboxing, or unbagging in this case, time-lapse and a review of the Mega Muscle Car set 30577, and this is a Polybag set from the Lego Creator line. And this Polybag was initially introduced back in 2021. So just going through all the Polybags that I have because they're kind of fun to build, and yeah, I think that's pretty much the only rationale I really have, really. So here we have the front of the quote-unquote Mega Muscle Car. Don't know what it's trying to be a muscle car of. I mean, it's probably got bits of a Camaro theme and some other stuff in there, but either way, it is definitely some type of muscle car, sporting predominantly red with a bit of black, and some other bits and pieces. So that's the front. Polybag being a polybag, there's not too much else on the external bag itself, but we can see some of the bricks inside as well as the folded up manual. Now I am hoping this particular front brick here, that's in the grille of the car, is pre-printed. If it's a sticker, that's fine. I have yet to encounter stickers on a polybag thus far, so it'll be interesting to see if this will be my first one. So now that we've had a look at the Mega Muscle Car in terms of its polybag, I will open up the polybag and then pretty much go through the build. So for the video purposes it'll be a time lapse, but for me it'll definitely be in real time, and yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how this builds. And with the time lapse now done, so in the original recording, that took me about 8.5 minutes to put the muscle car together, which actually isn't too bad. Probably could have taken a minute and a half off maybe, since there were just some small fiddly bits that were proving challenging. And I did accidentally push something off in the early phases. What I haven't included right now is the manual, which would have been seen through the time lapse, and just some of the spare single stud pieces that are often included just in case. So here we have the completed muscle car. So a bit of a view from the front, and yes, that has definitely been pre-printed under the grille. From the side, from the back, the other side, which is pretty much the same, top down and bottom up. So in terms of general look and aesthetic, it is a Polybag set, so it's going to have a very rough capture of the look and feel of a muscle car, and to be honest, I think it's actually done it quite well. It's a very nondescript muscle car, but the general aesthetic is definitely there. It does have more of that bulkier chassis look about it, and even some of the colours look really good. In terms of the colours, it is a primary red car with bits of black, and then on the very front anyway, have a little bit of separation with some clear bits for the headlights. This silver with the painted black on it for the grille, and on the back we have those nice translucent red pieces for the brake lights. So overall, colours wise, is actually very nice. Plus I'm very partial to red and black, which is possibly why I also picked this one up. In terms of articulation, wow, it's a Polybag, so the spoiler, with the way that it's been done, so the spoiler positioning can be put all the way that way, although it does look quite odd yet interesting at the same time, and can also be brought all the way back down. I think ideally, looking at this from a side view, that would probably be one traditional way of having it, and then maybe the 45-degree on the spoiler as well. That just seems oddly non-aerodynamic. And then that way, well, from the front it doesn't look too bad. But I think we'll probably just do the 45 per the instruction. So that moves, and each of these wheels also move independently as well, which is very cool. So the car does very much go up and down on its own. Now, one thing I was very surprised about, because it is a Polybag, these tyres are indeed actual rubber tyres. They're not the plastic, they are very much rubber. I was very surprised. In fact, I think during the time lapse, I believe I picked one up and actually did give it a squeeze to verify that it was rubber, not plastic. Yes, very, very surprised that they're rubber tyres. Now, it is a 2021 release, so in terms of switch over from rubber to plastic, may not have occurred yet. So interesting to see in more recent Polybag releases whether they're still rubber or if they've gone to plastic. I will admit, being rubber does actually make the set feel a bit nicer, which is very cool. So those definitely move as well. Otherwise, that's pretty much it in the way of moving parts. Looked at colours, we had a quick look at some of the different angles, and that's a bit of another angle from the front. What do I think of this little car? Well, in terms of sizing, it probably is comparable with a Hot Wheels car. It might even be slightly bigger. One of these days I will have to find out. What do I think of this particular Polybag kit? Well, it's a Polybag set. It's not going to be overly long and complex. As I mentioned at the beginning of the review component, I did finish it within 8 minutes. So it's definitely not going to be a time-intensive and laborious build. It is just one of those, you have 10-15 minutes spare, put it together. So from the ease and simplicity of the build, not a problem at all. It was actually quite fun. There are some small parts in there to be a little bit mindful of, but other than that, it was fun in that particular regard. look and feel, the design aesthetic, it is warming up to me. I do appreciate being a polybag. It is not going to have the same very noticeable chassis as, say, a Speed Champions set, which is probably 3 to 4 times the size and scale of this particular muscle car, which is to be expected. Very surprised about the rubber tyres, as I've mentioned before. I think that's a very nice touch, and in fact I'm also quite liking the actual rims on this as well. It's surprisingly a very nice rim design, definitely further enhancing the muscle car vibe. Have Lego managed to capture a bit of a muscle car vibe with this little polybag set? I would say yes. Yes, they have. It's obviously a very nondescript muscle car. It's probably to get away from licensing and stuff like that, especially as a polybag. But you can definitely tell where there has been some design inspirations for the particular design of this muscle car. For its price point, which is fairly inexpensive, I would say if you're a big fan of the polybags, especially given that they're very hard to find, I would say pick one up. It's definitely been quite fun to put together. It's how many pieces? Allegedly about 63 pieces worth of build. So it's definitely got a few pieces there to make it somewhat interesting. And I think it would be a nice little piece to display on a mantle shelf or something along those lines. To my point about Hot Wheels cars, not that I have one on me, I might have to try and do a bit of a comparison at some point in time. But saying that, I do have some polybags within the Speed Champions line. At least one at this point in time. I believe there's another one coming out later this year, which will be nice to compare against this one. So that'll be very, very cool. But that pretty much brings us to the end of the unbagging time lapse and review. Overall, it has been a very fun muscle car polybag set to build, and I think I actually would definitely recommend it for anyone who's after a very quick and easy set to build and isn't wanting to spend too much to get a little bit of a build fix. Thank you very much for watching this little combination video for a better time. Feel free to leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account, link in the description below. I'll also try and include some quick shorts as well. Not that there's too much to show off, but nice little turntable 360 is always nice to do. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in a future video. See ya.